Time now for Patriots Central. Here's Jeremy Dawson.
Rest in peace, Myra Craft. Patriots! It's best for you. Patriots! New England, what up?
International show record.
Welcome everyone to the first episode of the Patriots Central podcast, brought to you by Pro Football Central, and I'll be your host, Jeremy Dawson. On this show, we will feature interviews, coverage, and opinions throughout the year, while featuring many special guests that I think you guys will really appreciate. Just to start off speaking a little bit about myself, I'm currently a journalism major at the University of Rhode Island. I have a ton of work all over different websites across the web, but I'm currently just focusing on my work now with fifthquartermag.com and Pro Football Central. I was born and raised in Pawtucket, Rhode Island, which has a fair amount of history in sports due to their minor league baseball team, the Pawtucket Red Sox. I was raised by, actually, it's kind of funny, a family of Miami Dolphin fans. Imagine how that was. I grew up, they were all just in love with, of course, Dan Marino. You know how it was, and I just, in spite of my family, was like, you know what, I'm going to go with the home team, take the New England Patriots. So I grew up a Drew Bledsoe fan. The first game I actually remember really getting into was the Super Bowl between the Patriots and the Packers, where Drew Bledsoe fell to a young, at the time, Brett Favre. Ever since then, I just really had a keen interest in football and picked it up gradually over the years, and before you know it, here I am. On just our first episode of Patriots Central, I'm actually honored to be able to speak with NFL draft scout Mike Loyko, who works with the New England Patriots Draft.com. We will look in depth today at how the Patriots did in the draft, and maybe even he'll give us a few surprises and insider info. Before we get to that, though, let me just give you some stuff about the New England Patriots. We'll have a shorter show today since it's our first one, but look for some longer content in the future. For starters, let's talk about the OTAs that actually began today. We had Danny Amendola out there for the first time. I mean, he's been working with Tom Brady, getting ready for the season for a while. He's a very important piece of that Patriots offense because, well, a lot of people consider him replacing Amendola. I say considering because he doesn't really like the comparison. He knows that he's a different player, so he'll do his own thing. I mean, he was joking around with the media today, walking around, he got lost in the building a couple of times, which is understandable for a new guy. He also spoke about his familiarity with Josh McDaniels' offense because Josh McDaniels worked with him with the Rams in 2011. Another huge piece for the New England Patriots this year is Aqib Talib. They almost lost him in free agency. I know a lot of fans around here were worried, but luckily they locked him back up to give that young defense a little bit of veteranism in the backfield. Definitely a good piece to lock up. He was saying that he's really focusing on getting back in football shape and ready to get out there and play. The biggest news coming out of New England today, though, isn't even from an active player. Good old Teddy Bruschi voted into the Patriots Hall of Fame today, which is just phenomenal news. It was only a matter of time. Everybody was ready for it. I can't even believe that he's already eligible. How long has he been out? There'll be an introduction ceremony for him August 11th, and it's open to the public at the Patriots practice, and I strongly advise any Patriots fan to go. Even if you're just a little bit of a Patriots fan, not even like a steady follower, even if you never even watched Teddy Bruschi yet, that's going to be something to see. It's really going to be a moment in history, and it's great that the public has an opportunity to be there. Now, that's really the latest news. I mean, I can tell you that the Super Bowl won't be played in New England for at least another 4 years, but that's definitely an if ever. So, when the Patriots are in those Super Bowls, we'll just have to travel a little bit to get to them. Now, we're going to just take a short break and come right back with our special guest, Mike Loyko.
Are you looking for an NFL website that doesn't throw rumors against the wall and hope they stick? Then please go to ProFootballCentral.com for up-to-date news and information. ProFootballCentral.com is back and better than ever. We're dedicated to being your number one NFL fan site, so come check us out at ProFootballCentral.com and experience the difference.
All right, NFL football fans, welcome back to the Patriots podcast. This is your host, Jeremy, and I'm here with guest Mike Loyko, the NFL draft scout and New England Patriots specialist. How's it going today, Mike?
Doing good. Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. If you want to just introduce yourself, tell people what you do and how long you've been covering the NFL.
Yeah, sure. Right now I'm the editor for anypatriotsdraft.com, one of the biggest NFL draft sites out there. We kind of specialize in the Patriots stuff, but it's kind of grown into a site where really, we have all the NFL draft stuff, and we kind of have a little Patriots slant to it, but other networks have grown throughout of it, and it's really been growing the last couple of years to where people come just to get all NFL draft coverage from that site. And I do some work for other things too. I wrote my a draft guide this year, which I sold, and I've been getting active with other sites too. So it's definitely growing in the industry. I've been doing it. I've been covering the draft, individually probably for about 12 or 13 years, really as long as I can remember. I've always been doing mock drafts and scouting reports and stuff. I've been working for APD for about, this is my third year, I think. So it's been a great opportunity for me.
Definitely. That's very cool. All right. Well, let's get right into the Patriots talk here. How do you just feel about the Pats draft overall, filling holes, what was left over?
I think really when you evaluate the draft, whether it's at the end of this year or in a couple of years, it's really all going to come down to how the wide receivers do that they drafted, how Aaron Dawson and Josh Boyce integrate into the offense. Very rarely do the Patriots interact with such a glaring need as they did this year at the wide receiver position, and to use two out of the first 5 picks on wide receivers. They absolutely have to get some production from those guys. It's going to be, the Patriots' track record drafting wide receivers is so well known, and they struggle to develop these guys. There's going to be a huge spotlight on Dogs and on Boyce to really see if they can produce right away. The Patriots have rebuilt their wide receiver position this year, and those two guys, their production is really going to be key in the offense. Definitely
new phase wide receiver for the Patriots. I mean, Aaron Dawson, he did pretty great at Marshall. He was I'd say he's right up there with. He's been the best out there since maybe Randy Moss. Yeah, he definitely had a good career at Marshall. He didn't necessarily put up the numbers of a guy like Randy Moss or Troy Brown, but what he can do is he can go up and get the ball. He gives you speed on the outside, size on the outside, which has really been lacking. I'm not sure if he's as developed as some of the other receivers. I think he may take a little bit of time to come on, but his ball skills are something that can't be taught. His size and his speed. And then Josh Boyce, I'm almost more excited about Josh Boyce in the offense. I think he's going to bring that deep speed. He's over 200 pounds. He had one of the fastest 40 times of the combine. I think he can play inside the slot and outside. I think Josh Boyce ultimately, if we're talking a year from now, I think he might even have the better rookie season of the two. I just really like his all-around game in the way that he can fit into the offense. Yeah, very interesting considering, 2 rounds later, get a guy almost just as talented as you guy. Pretty much that was the whole heart of this draft, was the depth, the guys that you could get later. Yeah, well, entering the draft too with out of 4th, 5th, and 6th round pick, it really limited. That's what people have to remember too when they evaluate this draft. It really limited their ability, to make moves in this draft. So trading out that 1st round pick, I think that was the plan all along. They needed to acquire some of these mid round picks to not only get guys that they had targeted, but also give them some flexibility to move around the board. They trade out of the 1st round and pass on the opportunity to pick guys like Cordell Patterson, Robert Woods, and other guys. Yeah, that's very good point. But they ultimately get more flexibility. They get, I think this draft especially, I don't think there was as much elite talent, but I think players from, number 25 to 75, I think they're very similar in their grades. So I think the Patriots loaded up on that second tier of players. And I think, ultimately they're going to hit on a couple of those guys. I'm not sure which guys it will be, but if they get contributions out of those wide receivers
and a guy like Jamie Collins or Logan Ryan, I think the draft will be successful.
Yeah, certainly. Trading with the Vikings, that was huge. The Patriots always valued having multiple picks. I understand that you were pretty fond of Dayton Jones, and the Patriots definitely showed interest in the defensive end from UCLA, but he was picked 3 picks before the Patriots by the Packers. Do you think that by any chance, if the Packers would have passed on him and he made it to the Patriots, they may have rethought making that trade?
It's a possibility. I know they did like Dayton Jones. I'm seeing that they picked a pass rusher and a defensive end in the 7th round, and it tells me that they were looking to fill those positions. I still think even if he was there, I'm not sure they valued him enough where they would turn away that trade. I think that trade was just, you get 4 picks for 1. Yeah. I think they had a group of players, especially the wide receivers, all valued similarly. And if they don't make that trade there, they really only have 2 other picks that they can work with, the 2nd round and 3rd round pick. And it would have been tough for them to trade out of those picks because teams would have just shorted them. They knew how desperate the Patriots would have been to move down or that 2nd and 3rd round pick, and they would have just thrown garbage offers at them. So while I like Dayton Jones, I think he could have fit in this defense, but the moves that they've been making lately and releasing Love, releasing Dedrick, it looks like they're going to almost more of a traditional 4-3 look with some flexibility. And Dayton Jones, he's going to play defensive end in 3-4 for the Packers. I like him as a defensive tackle in a 4-3 where he can move around a little bit. So the fit, it would have been a little bit questionable, but I really like the kid. He's really sharp. He works extremely hard. You can tell that from talking to him. He's going to make it in this league. I'm not sure if he'll ever be a star, but he'll be a serviceable NFL player for a long time to come.
Definitely. All right, now to stay on kind of the same topic, the Patriots still need to get that edge rusher, and they took one in Jamie Collins. Doesn't really have the size to be an every down defensive end, but he's still very serviceable. He's explosive on the edge. What are your thoughts on him, the Patriots' first pick?
Yeah, it was definitely a surprising first pick. You go through all the names of possible players that they might select, and you do all the scenarios. And he's just another name that no one, seemed to link to the Patriots at all, including myself. One thing to watch this mini camp and as, training camp comes about in July is how they're going to use Collins. It sounds like, at least from what Bill Belichick said, that they're going to use him more as a linebacker, an outside linebacker, an edge rush linebacker possibly. I don't think he is a defensive end. At least right now, I don't think he is because he doesn't play tough enough. He doesn't play physical enough to hold up, at least on the strong side defensive end. His speed, his athleticism it was lacking in the Patriots linebacker core last year. The lack of speed was exploited time and time again by opposing offenses. They get their linebackers matched up with running backs and tight ends, and they pick them apart. The Titans did it. We've seen the Giants do it. The Bills did it a ton last year. They get, Scott Chandler matched up with Mayo or Spikes, and they picked that matchup apart. So getting a guy like Collins who runs, he's 6'3", 250 pounds, but he runs a legitimate 4.6 40. You hope that he can develop enough coverage instinct to be able to play in those sub-package defenses. And I think that was their thought process there, getting more athletic at the linebacker core. And Collins can also rush off the edge in, certain situations. So I think his versatility and his athleticism is really what sold the Patriots. He's by no means is he a finished product right now, but Bill Belichick personally worked him out down in Mississippi, and obviously he came away impressed. And it kind of struck me as a Bill Belichick pick. I think he made the call on that one.
Yeah, definitely. The Patriots, they have a history. The years that they really shined, they had a great linebacking core. So they must hope to develop him. Let's go to the undrafted free agents. Patriots signed a ton, big name wide receiver and T.J. Moe that they managed to find in undrafted free agents. How do you feel about him?
Yeah, they signed a ton of undrafted free agents this year. Kind of uncharacteristic the last couple of years, especially last year. They signed about 8 or 9 guys. But every year it seems like 1 or 2 of these guys make it. Last year, almost half their undrafted free agents made the team. They had Marcus Forrest and Justin Francis, 2 defensive linemen who made impacts on the team. Brandon Bolden made the team. T.J. Moe, he's a slot wide receiver. He's going to be compared to Wes Welker a ton. He's not very fast. He's quick. He's one of the quickest receivers in the draft. He's going to play the slot. He didn't have a ton of production in college, as much as you would like to see, and I think that might have limited his draft stock a little bit. He ran a 4.7 40, so he's definitely lacking vertical speed. He's going to be that underneath receiver that you hope can get open against zone coverage. I think right now he's got a chance to make the roster. They've brought in a ton of wide receivers. They just signed Mark Harrison from Rutgers yesterday, who arguably with TJ Moe, those were probably two of the best undrafted free agent wide receivers they ever come out with. So, add them to the wide receiver mix, and you hope at least that they come away with at least two wide receivers that can impact the passing game this year.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised about that it took Mark Harrison so long to even get signed. I mean, the guy led the Big East in touchdowns his sophomore season, I believe, at Rutgers. And the Patriots, I mean, they love these Rutgers kids. I'm surprised they didn't even pick him up sooner.
Yeah, and actually what happened with Mark is, and I talked to his agent a lot, actually, one of the players that I actually got pretty close to throughout the draft process. Prior to his pro day at Rutgers, Mark, he broke one of his bones in his foot prior to his pro day. He wasn't even going to work out at his pro day because he had such a phenomenal combine. And with how the NFL is now with the slotting system in the draft, the team just won't waste their pick on injured players. We've seen it time and time again where mid-round picks fall all the way out of the draft, and I think that was one of the cases with Mark. I know at least two teams that had him ranked in the fourth round, slipped all the way through. He originally signed with the Chicago Bears. He works out in the offseason with Christian Marshall, so that was a natural fit for him. He ended up failing his physical, went back out on the market, and it took him a couple weeks. I think he was trying to get fully healthy before he signed, but he passed his Patriots physical, and I believe he was out on the field today at minicamp, so it looks like he's fully healthy now, but that foot injury is definitely the reason why. Otherwise, I think he gets drafted, probably early to mid-day 3, or at least get signed real quick after the draft.
Yeah, certainly. That's very good insight. All right. So let's say looking ahead to this season, during the season, whatever, what can New England Patriots fan look for in the NCAA this year, maybe for next year's draft?
Well, I think next year's draft, at least looking at it early, it's much more top-heavy than last year. I'm just looking at it from afar. The top picks pretty much all set. It would have been, I think, if Jadeveon Clowney was allowed to come out this year, he would have been the top pick this year. Arguably the best defensive lineman to come out in a long, long time. Just comparing him from afar, the last defensive end going on board in the draft, Mario Williams, I think Jadeveon Clowney is a far superior prospect, even as a sophomore in college, than Mario Williams was.
Definitely.
Yeah, you're looking at a generational talent, a once-in-a-lifetime type of defensive end. I think he's going to have a monster season at South Carolina. And ultimately, no matter who gets number one pick, he's going to be the number one pick unless one of these quarterbacks just absolutely explodes. And really the only one that I can see that happening to would be possibly Teddy Bridgewater from Louisville. But even then, Bridgewater is not an Andrew Luck. And, I'm not even sure if he's an RG3. He definitely doesn't have the athleticism as an RG3. So I think it's Jadeveon Clowney. I think the defensive line position as a whole next year and the pass rush position is pretty strong. I think it's the offensive tackle position is very strong. It's going to be, I think there's a lot more star power next year's draft compared to this year. You look at guys like C.J. Mosley from Alabama, linebacker, went back to school. Anthony Barr from UCLA went back to school. Just a bunch of guys that I think have star potential compared to this year. So it's definitely going to be an interesting draft class to watch.
Definitely. So next, with the Patriots draft and everything, do you see that there's any positions that maybe they might have missed out on? Like, do you see any holes left in this roster?
Yeah, I think they're always looking to tweak and add to their roster. The one position that I'm kind of surprised that they neglected throughout the draft was the offensive line. I kind of expected them to take maybe one offensive guard or, a center later in the draft, but I can certainly see why they didn't. Michael Buchanan's a player they had rated in the mid-round. Steve Harness, he's best player on the board, playing with 10 people. So I think their value of those two players were just higher than any of the guards they were taking. They signed a couple guards after the draft. Whether they make it or not, it remains to be seen. I kind of think that they won't make it. I think the interior line depth is one area that can be addressed. I think they could still add another a linebacker or two, especially one that can play in the sub package. And I think they could also add, another running back. Felix Jones came in and worked out a couple of weeks ago before he signed with Philadelphia. They've never really replaced that Danny Woodhead position. You expect Shane Vereen to be able to, increase his workload. But Danny Woodhead was a valuable member of that offense. They haven't really replaced him. After Ridley and Vereen, you have Liam Washington, but he's going to be more just a special teams only player. His kick return, I feel, is why he was brought in. I think they could use one more running back. They're trying to just add to the mix, whether it's a veteran guy or not. Brandon Golden, I'm not necessarily sold on yet. So if they were to add to the roster, I think those are the positions that they'd probably target.
All right, definitely. Well, that's all of our questions for today. I just want to thank you for coming on the show and talking.
Oh, no problem. I appreciate you having me on.
All right, and there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That was our first guest on the Patriots Central podcast, Mike Loyko. We'd just like to give another shout out to him. Thanks a lot. That was some great coverage. Mike Loyko is from NewEnglandPatriotsDraft.com. Go visit him, read up on his stuff. Now let's hit a couple key notes that we went over during our interview. First thing noted by Mike, biggest thing about our draft this year when we're a year down the future or maybe 3 years ahead, look back at this draft, we're going to look at wide receivers. How did we do drafting wide receivers? And with 4 rookie receivers this year with ability to make an impact, we better hit on one of them. At least hit on one of them. We got Aaron Dobson, Josh Boyce, TJ Moe, and Mark Harrison. Those are the biggest names going around right now in the receiver wire as far as the Patriots are concerned. Aaron Dobson was the first one selected, and then Josh Boyce, TJ Moe, and Mark Harrison were both taken as undrafted free agents. Just because they were taken as undrafted free agents doesn't mean that one of them could pan out to be the best one out of all of them. You just never know with New England. As for the New England Patriots trade, Mike pointed out, there were a few talented players in the Patriots position that we could have taken, a couple defensive guys, maybe a wide receiver like Cordero Patterson, who ended up, when we traded the pick away, that's who the Vikings traded for the pick to pick up with the Vikings' 3rd pick in the first round. Crazy draft by Minnesota. But Minnesota's seen the guys they want. They went and got them. Gave New England 4 picks. Hey, I'm not complaining. I'll take the four picks for that one. Our first pick, however, in the 2nd round, Jamie Collins. This was very surprising, as Mike pointed out. Mike said, Jamie Collins, not a lot of people had him on the Patriots' radar. No one did, really. I even remember when he got selected, I was on Facebook and Twitter, of course, and everybody's just asking me, who's Jamie Collins? What do you know about him? And quite frankly, I was a little upset because I couldn't answer the question myself. And, after that, I went back, I watched a lot of tape on the kid, and just like Mike said, ton of athleticism. This kid is an athlete. He's all over the field. He's going to be a piece that the Patriots value very, very highly. The New England Patriots did not have athleticism. They have good linebackers, don't get me wrong. Good solid linebackers, they're getting physical, but just not athletes that can move around the field. And this is the kind of kid that we need. Next thing that I want to point out, he hit it right on the head when Mike said consistently signing, contributing undrafted free agents. That's what the Patriots do. We take low scouted people who, go under the radar. Other teams might look past them, and we get them. We turn them into Patriot products, and, they have valuable contributions on the field. Everybody plays their part in New England. It's one of the best things about this football team. I mean, it's just clear from what I said earlier. TJ Moe and Mark Harrison, 2 of the biggest names running around in the Patriots rookies, and they're both undrafted free agents, As for what the Patriots missed out on, this definitely, I agreed with Mike Loyko. I could not believe that the Patriots traded back, got more picks, and did not address the offensive line. Now, starting offensive line, yeah, we got it, but the Patriots have always been known to have to shift guys in there. We definitely need some more depth on that offensive line. I mean, the New England Patriots, that's definitely an area where they should have, addressed a little bit. I was surprised that they didn't focus at least 1 or 2 picks on maybe a guard or a tackle. outside of these, the New England Patriots had a solid draft. Coming into the draft, I wasn't so sure that it was going to be a very good. I heard names like Robert Woods getting thrown around, and it would have been nice to see, a nice big name guy come into New England. But honestly, what's better for New England is exactly what they did. They traded back, didn't get any publicity, just drafted some guys that not a lot of people are going to be talking about, and they're going to go out there and make the New England contribution. Now, as for next year's draft, Mike, clearly a big fan of Jadeveon Clowney. Anybody who's really a fan of college football, and unless you just dislike South Carolina, you know that this Jadeveon Clowney kid is going to be a star. Just like he said, he's one of those players that you just don't see very often. He's going to be one of the best defensive prospects in recent memory, without question. You got to think, this kid had an opportunity to sit out next year, go to college, not play football, and he still would have been a top 10 pick. He had that option. But you know what? The kid clearly loves football. He's going back. He's playing. That's what teams like to see. As for next year's draft in general, much more star power. Big front-loaded. It's going to be a very exciting first round of the draft next year. This year's draft, it was very, second to fourth round. That's when teams really, that's when they made the big moves. And outside of Minnesota, teams really stockpiled in rounds 2 to 4. So overall, it's going to be great to see what these rookies contribute to this New England offense and defense. We got a lot of Rutgers kids. We all know New England has ties to Rutgers. We got 2 cornerbacks from Rutgers and a receiver. Overall, I want to say it's 6 rookies on our. No, I believe it's 5 rookies on our roster from Rutgers. That's just rookies from the school of Rutgers. So we're hoping that a few of those kids can come in, make contributions. Definitely, hopefully, those cornerbacks with. Aqib Talib, he's not staying on for very long. We locked Kyle Arrington up. That was pretty big. We're not completely sure about what the Alfonso Dennard. I'm not sure what the situation with him is. We got Rossai Dowling. He's pretty good. But it would be great to get some contribution out of those rookies. And that's going to be our show for today, guys. So I would just like to thank everybody for tuning in. I definitely look forward to our next episode, every episode in the future. It was a really great first episode, and we're definitely only going to get better. Expect more in-depth look in the Patriots roster next time. And hopefully I can bring another exciting guest on for you guys. If not, it's okay. I'll be enough. If you guys want to follow me on the Twitter, my handle is at @Dawson. That's DAWSON _NFL. And just as a final note, I would like to give all of my prayers and thoughts out to everybody who was affected by the tragedy in Oklahoma. On behalf of all of the Pro Football Central cast, you're in all of our prayers and all of our thoughts, for sure. It's a terrible situation that happened, and, it's time for sports is a time for serious, and it's definitely a time for serious so, contributions to them, anything that can be made, be appreciated, be great, and, you'd really be doing a great thing. I would just like to thank everybody again for listening, and I'm your host, Jeremy Dawson. I'll see you guys next time.
Thanks for tuning in to Patriots Central. For Patriots news, blogs, highlights, and more, log on to ProFootballCentral.com.
This is your boy DJ Boy Crew from Bellevue 101 and 2. Right about now, we got the Perceptionist crew in the house. We about to pick up the world champion New England Patriots, baby. Put your hands up. Put your hands up. Wait a second, man. Put your hands up. Wait your hands up.
Yo, ain't nobody seeing the packs, and that's that. Ain't nobody seeing the packs, and that's that. Ain't nobody seeing the packs, and that's that.
You getting sliced with a razor sharp welcome mat.
Now you can try to get fly, but we got tied. Raw and fool, welcome to the new school. Legendary question. question everybody wanna know. How to start Belichick's flow. Weiss is nice, Cornell is hell, Viola ain't phony. Go and check the depth chart, homie. Resources, cease losses. Welcome to the Razor, kid. Step into the fortress. Our game plan's flawless.
We stand strong to the finish like Willie McGinnis. With the goal line stand to make your ego diminish.
How embarrassing.
Helmets knocked off by Rodney Harrison. New England Patriots, no other squad is in comparison. All New England fans from Worcester to Winooski. Throw up your hands for an ice cold brewski. Your team is getting hyped and they just wanna rumble on. But much to your dismay is the score on the Jumbotron.
0.
Ask one stat, parcels. We sending weak old lines back to the barbells and bench press. Cause none of y'all is comp, son. We running right past y'all like that Bell Johnson.
Ask Ricky Williams how hits go down here. Oops, look at the Brownies, bound to be found there. Old Paul Payton, so frustrating. Throw another pick to get a standing ovation. Thank you, we'll be taking that one to the bank too.
Kick the extra point.
Notice